Jackie 啊，你有捌聽啲咧叫 app 叫 Nicole 咯
？Nicole 是查某啊？
唔是啦，我甲你講 app 了嘛。嘅你看啲 Nicole 你看，伊加了啊有真正是 article、podcast、courses 嘅啊。我甲你講啊，你愛變好命，你愛好命。
愛好命啊，定啲
你愛趁錢無？
趁這類咯。
啊，所以啊，你特別用 Nicole，做咩事？你讀了，你看伊 article 個了，你讀了，你變真高嘅，知無？
唔嘢無，我看啲。
有年你看 article 看安怎好命，安怎趁這類，哇！呀，你睇，
你一個看好了嘛，就來就搞。
有啦，甲你講了嘛，你咪聽，當今你特別去看，特別看個了，讀個了，
你講你這個
OK，好，你先好來。
Welcome to Tech Talk Friday, everyone. It's Friday and 6 p.m. Malaysia time. We are always tech talking, and today I'm going to introduce my co-host for today. Actually, today is an exciting day because today is supposedly the day Karam gets to kick me out of Tech Talk, and Nigesh Arman, the head of Nicole, is substituting me, and I'll be on from time to time, but generally speaking, Nigesh is going to be the man who's going to take us forward. So Nigesh, quick comments on how it feels to be taking over Tech Talk.
Scary, because now I'll have to deal with Karam every week.
Yeah, but Karam's easy peasy, you know. Yeah, okay, but very quickly, right? So you hit up Nicole, and Nicole's this cool tech. Artificial intelligence, personalized curation, learning intelligence app. Mouthful. But I got it right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it right.
So maybe let's quickly watch what Nicole is, and then maybe you can tell us a bit about Nicole, and then maybe share a bit about the closing of the Leaderonomics Series A, and then we'll get Karam on to Tech Talk to join us. So here's Nicole. So Nigesh, what is it? Yep. I mean, it's a learning experience platform. Actually, it's probably the one of the few in the world, right? There's very few LXPs in the world, right? So and to have a Malaysian company, have Nicole as a LXP that's out there, it's a quite amazing feat. So tell us, in 30 seconds, what Nicole's all about.
I think the easiest way to say this is, we keep on talking or we keep on hearing about learning tools, but Nicole is a learner's tool. So it's your tool. It's for everybody out there, for you to get a tool in your hand where you can dictate and decide what you want to learn. Of course, we'll help you along the way, but you have that space for you. You can create a community there for you to learn along with everybody. And of course, if you want to make that learning even deeper with the experts that we're bringing on, I mean, being a product coming out from Leaderonomics, that 12 years of working with all these wonderful people around the world, we bring them on to Nicole. Now you have access to it. You control your learning. Hence why it's a learner's tool.
Fantastic. And I think very excitingly, Leaderonomics is now closing its first part of the Series A, the ECF, the equity crowdfunding piece, where and we'll put the site. Our producer will put the link on. We're closing. I mean, so if you have 2,500 ringgit to spare, you can become my boss, my shareholder, and my owner, and I have to call you boss, right? So Leaderonomics Series A ECF, and the best part is the government will give you a tax credit. So every dollar you invest in Leaderonomics will be given a tax rebate, meaning it's a tax deductible for your 2021 taxes. So March 31st, hard deadline. It's your last chance to make me call you boss. Officially. So with that, and maybe the producer can put out the link. It's tinyurl.com, I think, /LDRFUNDNEL. So you 5 days left. That's the Series A. 5 days, 2,500 ringgit or more. You can be. I have to call you boss. I'm sorry. So with that, let's get the man himself, the man with the beard. Actually, all of you have beards except me. So it's going to be one of those things where it's the bearded Indian man community. So the non-bearded guy gets kicked out of the show. What's this, man? This is discrimination at the highest.
So you just tell your kids that okay, this is a lesson in life. Okay, life is hard. That's why you got to sharpen yourself and be the sharpest tool in the shed to survive.
What's that got to do with beards?
I have no idea what he just talked about. Okay, never mind, Karam. We've got an exciting show, so I know I have to minimize myself and you have to exponentially multiply yourself, both Karam and Nigesh. So I'm going to leave you in the good hands of our next guest. I think we have Manu from Youthopia who will be joining us. So Karam, Nigesh, take it away and maybe you can introduce Manu. And remember, Series A, you have absolutely 5 days to make it happen. So that I'm forced to call you boss. All right. So with that, bosses, goodbye, and we'll see you in a short while. Nigesh, Karam, over to you.
Okay.
Right. So I guess Roshan already did the introduction. So maybe without further ado, let's bring him on. Manu Menon, co-founder and CEO of Youthopia. Hey, Manu.
Hey there, Nigesh. How's it going?
Oh, good. How's your Friday going?
Good.
All right. I think let's get into the meat of it. Karam is nipping at the buds to actually ask you some questions, especially he's been talking about this for a while, My Digital. It's been something that it's burning for him. So Karam, what do you want to start with?
It is burning. It is not burning. It is an out of control flame, and it's actually to me, and I've been sharing with people, it is the single most important plan that the government has put forth in the last 3 years, at least, right, moving forward, because this is not a technology transformation plan. This is an economic invigoration. This is a competitiveness plan for Malaysia, because digital, as we know, touches across everything, right? Everything and anything. So this is an economic plan, and it will help sharpen the competitiveness of our companies. And that's why in Tech Talk and in my conversations with people, I constantly want to talk about it, because we got to show the government that there's extreme interest in the ecosystem out there with this plan, and we're not leaning back and leaving it to the government to do it and give us an update once a year or whatever, right? No throwing scraps to us. We want to be active participants in making this a success. Super important. And yesterday I was just talking to an entrepreneur who was one of the pioneers in Binaria. He was telling me that he was part of Ralph Marshall's core team when they were coming up with the idea of Miasat, satellite TV, right? And he said that, Karam, look, I'm tired, he calls himself the Gen X, right? He said, look, my generation now, because he said, maybe I'm also Gen X. He said, look, we've already done our part, I'm tired, and I want to step back. And I practically reached out over the phone and grabbed him by the neck, and I said, you absolutely cannot do that. Because he, Manu, was involved in the MSC flagships, from like 1996 onwards. So for those who don't know, the MSC flagships was literally the first version of our My Digital plan, because My Digital has got two portions, Nigesh, if you're not familiar. One is the government plan, which is a government agency, public sector driven. Those they call the national initiatives. Then you've got the 4 verticals from the private sector. Those are called the sectoral initiatives, okay? So with these national initiatives, these are just like your flagships from before, was a government agency, ministry led. And he was involved, and he knows what worked and what didn't work. And I said, you cannot afford to get tired, because if you got family members in Malaysia that you love and care about, you got to write. I was urging him to write a commentary about what you feel went wrong or went right with that, so that people today are aware. Because we forget the mistakes of the past, and what's they're saying, those who forget the lessons of history are condemned to repeat these mistakes, right? So absolutely, while Tech Talk is here, while DNA is here, we will not allow that to happen. And in that sense, that's why Manu is here, because he wrote a very interesting piece about how this was like a sense of deja vu for him. And his article is very well read, and a lot of comments to it. And I wanted to bring Manu on to share his perspectives of what made him write the article, and what he's concerned about, and what he's excited about with My Digital. Because I think on Plus it is a very good plan, but we just got to make sure we deliver, right? So Manu?
Yeah. Thanks, Karanjit. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it gave me a sense of deja vu. And like I said in the article, having been around, I'm also a Gen Xer, so I've been around for a while. So yeah, I've seen the whole MSc initiative back in '96, and unfortunately there was a sense of deja vu that came about from there. So that's something that sort of struck me. On the whole, it's a great idea. I mean, I think on the surface, the idea of My Digital pushing towards, especially the building of agile talent, that is something that I feel very close to as well. I mean, that's something that I am also championing in my own startup as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's something that is really close to my heart, and I feel that if we do it correctly, I think I mentioned three things in the article. I think one is tracking, transparent tracking, to ensure that year on year we see that there is some progress. And if there is no progress, we need to know why, what's the roadblocks and things like that, right? So that tracking is crucial. I think the second one is accountability. So I guess My Digital, the CEO, or the team that is being put together would need to have the final say, or the buck will have to stop with them. If there's something that's not working, it's not about pointing fingers here, there. It's about digging in and figuring out what exactly is the issue and moving that forward. And the last one I feel is crucial is the continuity itself, right? So I think whatever happens in the political space, certain initiatives like this should not be put aside. I think in the article I mentioned Estonia as an example, right?
Yeah.
So they've had like 10 different prime ministers since their independence.
Incredible.
But the idea for becoming an e-nation, purely e-nation, has always been at the forefront of whoever was ruling the party. So I think these were the three things that I felt was needed to make sure that My Digital becomes a success. I think, as I mentioned, on the whole, I'm excited about it. I'm excited that I probably will be able to play a part in it as well, by building talent and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that's something that I think those three things are what we need to look at.
So you've encapsulated your concerns, right, under these three categories, and said, look, we need to get this right. And I love the continuity part, because it has been an underlying theme in my conversations with a lot of people. Because there's always talk about an election coming up, and and if there's an election before the 5-year term, which only ends actually in 2023, but if election comes up and new government comes in, then you worry whether they'll say, hey, no, this was, under the previous government, we want to come up with our own brand. Probably 90% of it is going to be the same, right? But in the time it takes them, then we lose time, right? And there's a sense that we cannot afford to lose time. And as it is, I'm already feeling stressed out, Manu, because it's been just a month, and it's been 5 weeks since they announced it. Yeah. And they have not made the decision on who the CEO of the secretariat or the agency that they're going to create, right, to manage My Digital is going to be. And although they've appointed Ralph Marshall to be the CEO of the agency, the company that will roll out the infrastructure, it's been 2 weeks or more since Ralph Marshall's name was brought up as CEO, but he hasn't made any senior leadership team hires yet. And I'm getting stressed out about that, because you need to move fast, because especially since the government said that you're going to see enterprise 5G rollout by Q4, which means by October, November, you need to have it on the ground for companies to use. So you're practically losing time while you're trying to work things out in the background. So that is causing me concern. When you say what's burning, this keeps me, this has like lit a fire in me, right, Nikesh, and I'm super concerned. So, but you raised some good points, Manu, and I think, Nikesh, let's bring up the point that Manu is contributing towards this also, and of course your startup is Youthopia, and I know you created it also because you were concerned that our education system was not doing a good enough job with the kids. So tell us what Youthopia is doing, and how is it doing? Because you've already rolled out and it's a paid model, right? Okay.
Yeah. So Youthopia is basically a platform. We're looking at starting the skills development early. So we're looking at kids age 10 onwards. The idea here is really to incorporate skills that are lacking in our current education system. Things like critical thinking, things like creative problem solving. So these are foundational skills that are missing. Although, yes, the Ministry of Education has come up with different ways of approaching it, I think it's not implemented well enough. There could be many reasons why it hasn't been implemented well enough, but I feel that that's what's lacking. And a lot of studies have also indicated that these kind of skills are what is going to help our children become lifelong learners. Today, I have 2 daughters of my own, and I can't really very definitely say, okay, this is the career path for you. What I can do is give them the ability and the knowledge and the know-how of picking up new skills very quickly and adapting and changing over a period of time. And that's what Youthopia does. So we use we use games, we use interactive content to help kids learn these skills. These games are built with the help of some education experts, both locally and also internationally, to make sure that there is some academic rigor in what we're doing as well. So that's what we do. And beyond that, we are also looking at doing instructor-led programs as well, where we ran one during the last school holidays when it was well received. So if you know of OutSchool from the US, right? So they focus on skills that are not typical, not academic. It's like those interest-based learning. And that's what we did. So we ran like design thinking classes for 10-year-olds. We ran different types of critical thinking programs as well. So that's something that we are doing. So yeah, moving forward, we would be seen as a combination, or let's say a Khan Academy and OutSchool, and that's what we are moving forward with.
So
Okay,
Manu,
nice.
maybe I want to ask you this question, right? Because
Sure, Nilesh.
you kind of hit something that's very close to me as well. So I'm in the instructional design space, so I do these kind of learning designs and all. But one thing, when we talk about digital awareness, digital skills, future readiness, we've been talking about this for a very long time, right? And then we talk about education. That's the other end of the spectrum, right? Where we need to upskill people to get there. But the problem is where we are creatures of trends. When you say digital, we go one end of the trend and think about just technical digital skills, and everyone is rushing towards that. And we kind of forget that there's this in between that you got to get. Even if you look at the World Economic Forum report that came out last year, which actually projected to 2025, it's a mix, right? So maybe I want to ask you this question. You're coming up with this tool, you're coming up with this app. How are you doing the communication? How are you getting buy-in? That's the problem, right? Because we have an education system, but how are you getting the buy-in for people to actually engage with what you're doing? Because it is important.
See the value of what you're offering.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think it's being a startup, that's an ongoing challenge as well, right? Getting that message across. What we have found to work is that we are looking at segments of the society who are a little bit more advanced in the way they're thinking. So I'm not going to say that rural versus urban, but there are certain groups of parents who are more exposed to the fact that academic excellence alone is not enough for future success, right? You mentioned the World Economic Forum. That's something that we also use. There was a study even as far back as 2016 where they said that the kids of the future will need 16 different skills. You know, it's not just the academic skills, it's competencies, it's character qualities, and all these different things. So in terms of communicating, we are using whatever channels that we have access. Using my experience having been in a digital marketing agency, we use digital quite extensively, social media quite extensively to communicate this message. It is a battle, it is a challenge. However, I think we have found different pockets of success, and that's something that we're going to build upon. And we're not just looking at Malaysia, so we're already talking to places like Indonesia, in Vietnam. In fact, there are 2 schools that are trialing our platform as well. So we are finding different avenues in different markets as well to get this across. But yeah, I think like what Nigesh said, I think it's a big task, and we know that Youthopia can't do it alone. There are different ways, and we are always open to collaboration to make this something that's sustainable. So that's something that we're looking at.
Yeah. It is something you said there where you're trying to be strategic, so you're going after the affluent market, which is sound because you need people to use it. But you know, like Malaysia's population itself, the affluent market, you're talking about what, 2%? 2% of the population is the affluent market. Is that enough to move the needle? We don't know yet. And going back to this whole My Digital plan as well, we don't know if that will help us move the needle even more. That's the hope I think you wrote in your article, right?
Yeah. That is the hope. I think. Sorry, I think like what you said, right? So yes, we want to be able to train or help as many kids as possible. However, we need to have a sustainable model. So one of the things that we had explored almost by accident is that like a CSR angle as well. So there are organizations that spend a lot of money in education, in helping the masses, right? So that's one angle that we are also taking Youthopia. So on one side, to keep the business going, we are looking at the more affluent market, but at the same time, we are coming up with different ideas and different ways of helping let's say, the B40 kids or even the urban poor kids, right? So there are those who go to school, they don't have the right device. So we are working with some corporate partners to help bring this to the larger audience.
I think when both of you just mentioned My Digital, if any of you can, you go and look at Manu's article, and he actually extracted the trust, because there are 6 trusts, and trust 4 is about this competent and agile workforce. And when you look at the outcome and targets, you just glance at it, it's great, they want to achieve this, but then there's no measurable benchmarks, at least here. And I think the new CEO, when they appoint the new CEO for My Digital, he or she then will drill down and make this milestones so that people can track the progress. Because as it is now at high level, they look great, but it's scary to think that there's no step by progress measured. Because one of them is, you mentioned creativity, right? They said they want all students in the country, right, to be able to be critical thinkers, right? And that's a great objective to have, right? You want to develop creative thinking. So this is not new. Even back in early 2000s, they're saying they wanted our students to be critical thinkers. Hasn't happened yet. And then they talk about all the schools to adopt digital solutions and technologies by 2025, and that's up your alley, right? You'll be one of the providers that's saying, hey, we are ready, right? You don't need to wait for us to build something. We're there. So in the next 5 years, by 2025, they want all schools to adopt digital solutions. So hopefully this leads to a lot more acceptance for what guys like you, entrepreneurs like you, are doing out there. So Manu, right?
Yeah.
I think also. Sorry, you were going to say something.
Go on. No, go ahead.
No, you kind of said that, like the adoption, right? The adoption. I was thinking back when I was actually teaching in Taylor's University at one point in time. Okay. And at that point, MOE kind of already started using the thought process of the WEF article from 2016, the 2016 one. So that was already trying to be adopted then, but it's still, till today, we're still finding problems with adoption. And there's actually a comment here from Saji Rajpan, which kind of goes back to what we're talking about. My Digital kind of goes back to also education, though we may seem that it's a more economic-based comment here. The news of the big name tech company like IBM moving out of Malaysia, and we want to attract non-labor intensive companies. I think it's both ways, right? One is we need to have the economic environment that is actually being tracked, like you said, being tracked, moving forward, consistent, that the roadmap actually continues on whatever the political situation. And on the other end, what you're doing with Youthopia, where even the population base is ready to actually have these kind of companies around. And the companies have a labor force to actually get. I think one of the problems is they don't have a labor force. So what are they going to do here?
Yeah, and this is a perennial problem, right? I mean, I've been working in different industries over the last 25 years, and we've always had the problem of not having the right skill sets, not having the candidates with the right skill sets to fill different roles. And for the last 25 years, it's been going on. So I'm hoping that this time around, there's some actual concrete steps. And like I think what Karam said, right? We don't, by 2030, we don't measure at 2030. Let's measure every year. Are we making the steps moving forward, right? So that I think is crucial.
Yep. Very crucial indeed. All right. So I think we are now at 6:25. So I've got something I want to do with you, Manu. I think we kind of spoke to you about this.
Okay.
Unfortunately, let's have a little bit of fun. It's Friday after all, and this is going to be the Test the Guest challenge. So usually after we grill the guests for a while of their thoughts, then we try to grill them a little bit of their kind of crazy side. So let's see. We've got some questions, and let's see how Manu answers. And Manu, don't think too hard. First question: what's the most useful talent you have?
Talking in public.
Talking in public. I think that's very evident. Yes, very evident indeed. I think that's one of Karam's very good skills as well. Question number 2. What's the most ridiculous fact you know?
Most ridiculous fact. Recently, the fact that Roblox, this game that my kids play, is worth $290 million US. That's ridiculous to me, you know.
The world we live in.
That's something.
The world we live in.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, I want to turn, since I have this mic, I'm going to turn around to Karam. Karam, I want to ask you this question. So, what's the most ridiculous fact you know?
Most ridiculous fact or factor? That's a tough one. There's so many that I would struggle to come up with one actually. Interesting, that's a lot, but ridiculous. Nothing that will come to mind. If something pops up by the end of the show, I'll let you know. I don't want to waste too much time thinking.
Okay. Question number 3. Let's go. What has been your biggest screw up?
Biggest screw
that you
up.
can tell us.
But okay. Breaking up with my then girlfriend, now wife. So yeah, that was. But luckily, I rectified it, lah.
Lesson to everybody. Screw up doesn't mean the end of the road. Screw up means you can turn around and find a way around it.
Persistence is important.
Persistence is key. All right. Question number 4.
Hope your kneecaps have recovered from the begging you have to do.
More like hobbling.
Hobbling. All right. What is the weirdest thing you've seen in someone else's home?
Someone else's home. Haven't been to any homes recently because of the pandemic, so I can't really recall. Sorry about that.
Right. Let's go to question number 5 then.
Hey, I got something interesting. I was in somebody's house and they had a urinal, you know, a small. So in the old days, when you talk KTM, when you go to the toilet, right, for the male toilet, there is a small thing, this small like little porcelain, shaped urinal, and it's like standing right on a steel bar or whatever. So it's like, I'm saying, this is amazing. Where is this? He apparently got it from a KTM warehouse somewhere in Klang, right? And he went late at night and he like paid the security guard like 50 ringgit and went in and he looked at it and then the guard let him take this one thing out. So probably he committed theft, I don't know. Hopefully nobody from KTM is listening to this, but he had that in his house and he said, I love it because it reminds me of the old days when I used to take the train with my parents. So it actually was something used to trigger wonderful childhood memories.
Karam, you're the only man I so far know who can answer 2 questions in one go. You answered the weirdest fact and you also answered this.
Okay.
The fact for you. Question 5. What advice would you give Karam and myself to improve Tech Talk show? And to our producer Sashi, which most of y'all don't see most of the time, why did you put up this question?
I don't know. I think you guys are doing a good job. Maybe Karam's lighting can be better. But other than that, it's really good. I think you guys are doing really good.
Karam,
really
I offer to help you with the lighting. I will offer to help you with the lighting. If it can shine all the way through virtually, I will do it. All right. Thanks for being a sport and answering those questions, Manu. Manu, don't go anywhere. We're going to have you again at the very end of the show once we're done with the second guest as well. So, Manu, thank you so much for being here with us and talking to us. At this point, we'll have him again later. Karam, maybe some quick things you got from that conversation with Manu.
Why is Roshan still on the show? He's supposed to have been
I'm always here.
Roshan loves this baby called Tech Talk.
Yeah, no, and I hope you guys managed to cover some of the comments that were coming out from Saji and from the others. So with that, it's good.
No. Let me specifically answer Shaji's comment, because Shaji is saying that you've got big name companies, IBM moving out, and the minister, which is our, I think, that guy who was that kind of traitor, right, who caused the previous government to fall, whatever his name is. He was saying that we want to attract non-labor intensive companies, and that comment is a joke. It's a mockery, because IBM is non-labor intensive and they're moving out of the country, and yet the minister is saying we want to attract non-labor. So clearly the minister is clueless, or the person who wrote the speech and gave it to him is double clueless, right? So it's horrifying to think that we've got leadership like that, right, at the political level. But to answer the question also, that IBM is not moving out of the country. It's just one business unit. You've still got a big presence in Malaysia, right? So I'm just stating a fact. I'm not trying to defend Malaysia. They've got still a big presence in Malaysia, and it's their. Roshan, your mic. Can you put your mic on mute? So thanks. So it's actually the fact that they've been here. This business unit BPO has been here for over 10 years, 11 years. So things change in the technology world. Okay, you've got higher adoption of Tushaji. You've got higher adoption of cloud, and you've got AI increasingly being used right in the workforce. And like those close to 1,000 jobs, when those jobs they're being moved to various countries in Asia, Nigesh. They're not. At first, people thought all the jobs were being moved to the Philippines. No, they're moving them to various countries, and it's not 980 jobs or 1,000 jobs. No, they're probably only going to be 500 or 400 jobs created now, not 1,000. Why? Because the technology is allowing more people to do less things. So so unfortunately, Shaji only pick up on one thing that may get me arrested So maybe next week it's Shaji and it's Roshan and Nigesh on the show. Okay.
Karam on live TV is words like traitor and all get people very excited So.
You said it. I heard you say it. I didn't hear me say it. I heard you say it.
I was muted apparently. So somebody just muted me. Anyway. Prasenjit says, I have a question. If you kindly share your views. I'm not sure what that is about, but
we'll wait for the question,
we'll wait for him to do that.
So Prasenjit, maybe type out the question and we'll try to address it.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and I think Nigesh and Karam will be back right after this with a little bit more fun little facts. So with that,
be ready to come in case I'm not here. Means I've been arrested. So you got to jump in quickly. So we're very nimble in the show. Don't worry, people who are listening.
We even go to jail and get caught.
I just gentle guy. I just discovered this new learning platform they call Nicole. Man, that's the real deal. I tell you, man. I just pay only $50 for 1 year subscription, and my life don't change. I don't use that how much job for this content. I tell you so. You don't believe me? I tell you. Have you seen the link after we finish this call, guy? You remember when I tell you say to learn 8 hours a day for class, they tire me. This is the real solution for me right now because I learn in bite sizes at my own time, any place, anywhere where I want to learn. And if you get content across the board, oh boy, no be paper. I tell you now the real deal with this. Okay, no way. I go send you the link. No way. I go send you the link. We could talk later. I want the Nicole Martin to go. Yeah, I go to Nicole. I don't tell you now. I'm gonna tell you. Go sign up. No waste time. The link now. digitaldynamics.org. Okay, we go chat later, babe. Okay, I have to go back. Bye bye. I'm on this Nicole na the deal. Oh boy, I'm going to Nicole to go. Easy.
Welcome back to Tech Talk, and I've stolen the stage for the last time. I think today it's the final episode before Nigesh and Karam take on the show officially. But if you haven't started Nicoling, even if you speak pidgin English, you are still welcome to have Nicole. And don't forget, just want to do a final call out. Leroy's growth story. It's the last week, 5 more days, just 5 more days for you to be part of Leronomics and to sign up and to part of our ECF, and the government of Malaysia not only is going to match your money, so every dollar you give us $1, every $4 you give us $1 we match by the government, but on top of that you'll be getting a tax credit for all your investment. So with that, let me bring back our buddy and good co-host Nigesh Arman. Nigesh, welcome back. And of course Karamjit, I think, has disappeared. I believe from what I see, he's gone. So look at that. He's been arrested, most likely. So Nigesh, the show is going to be yours. I have no idea where Karam is. Karam, if you're there, we are praying for your release, all right? And don't worry, we've got the best lawyers because, Nigesh, Indian fellas are all very good lawyers. So I'll put in a call to our buddy Tommy Thomas and the gang to come and salvage Karamjit. So with that, Prasanjit actually had a question. Where do you see this world after 10 years from now in terms of technology and financial services? So guess what? The police just released Karam. Karam, welcome back.
That was quick.
My quick interventions worked.
Good lawyers.
All right, with that, I will leave you guys, and hopefully I'll see you at the end of the show. If not, goodbye from me. Nigesh, Karam, have a great show. I think we've got another wonderful guest to join us. We've got Syed who'll be joining us. So with that, have a great show.
All right. Maybe Roshan might appear again like Chips more later on. But Prasanjit, let's save this question towards the end. I think this would be a great question to ask both our guests at the very end of the show as well. So let's save this till the end of the show. And let's
I
bring
don't
in...
continue to watch the show for another 20 minutes, but that's a good point, yeah.
Shh. Do not reveal tricks. Anyway, let's bring in the next guest, Syed Zulhilmi, co-founder and CEO of POMEN. Hi, Syed. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Nigesh?
All good. All good.
Zul, he prefers to be called Zul. So cool. So let me set the stage first. So what I love about having you and Manu on is that Manu is a seasoned entrepreneur. And he was actually also a seasoned MNC, CEO before, right? As he was running, he's been the leader of some digital agencies, in his past life, and he's got over 20 years of corporate experience. And of course, now I think I don't know your background because everyone seems to assume I know everyone who appears on the show, but it's the first time we are communicating, right? Except earlier. And just share your background because I don't think you have the depth of corporate experience that Manu has, and I'm wondering how this will translate to how you've been running your startup also, which we brought you on because very important pain point you're trying to solve. But go ahead and share some background and what was the pain point you're trying to solve.
All right. Thank you, Karam. So just a bit of my background. Before I started POMEN in 2009.
Oh, sorry. By the way, let's say the POMEN for the I think Prasanjit may not be a Malaysian. POMEN is actually Malay slang for foreman, correct?
Yeah. So POMEN is a slang word for foreman. So when people speak in a slang way, it's called POMEN. Call POMEN to get your coffee, something like that. Right. So back to your earlier questions, my background before I started POMEN in 2019. I was working as a tech consultant in MNCs and also local companies, right? So I've been working also with in an Australian company, deploying the first backup as a service for Toyota Motors back then in 2009, 2010. Yeah. And then I was in IT industry. I've been with IBM. A lot of my friends really being laid off due to that.
Oh, really? Yeah. About to be like, yeah, correct. Okay.
Yeah. And then with GlaxoSmithKline before, and also with Huawei Malaysia. I was the first solutions manager for data center business in Malaysia office back in 2000. Can I recall 14, 15, right? And then my final last 9 to 5 job with Veritas Technologies, which is the backup and storage leaders. So during the career about 12 years, I'm managing a lot of from bank customers. And also, I'm very familiar with telcos, with Telecom. So I'm taking care a lot of their projects last time. And my last job is taking care of also governments as well as financial institutions. Yeah. So I've been around in IT consultants job before. Actually, during those 9 to 5 jobs, actually sometimes always till late night, right?
No more 9 to 5.
Yeah, I started my own e-commerce brand back in 2013.
Oh, really? Your own e-commerce play? Wow, interesting.
Yeah, 3 years before I resigned, right? All right. So 2.5 years after groom that brand, and I have another 2 brands after that. I'm at a very financially stable to quit anytime at a time. So one day during one of my sales patch meeting where we need to patch another $3.5 million value of sales, and it's kind of roadblock. We have meeting whole day, right? And the last thing I can think of, I think this is enough, right? So I just go to my boss. I think I'm gonna quit. So just like that, right? So and then so the rest is history. 2016, I'm still continuing my e-commerce brand. So we have retails as well up until now. And that one I'm partnering with my wife.
Okay.
Yeah. And then come POMEN started in late 2018.
Okay.
And we go live in early 2019. So what I've gathered during 12 years working experience, and also part of building my own business,
Yeah.
right? Running my own campaign from I started from a small storeroom at my house back then, and up till now that my other business now we have one warehouse and one office and everything. So
Okay.
I'm like itchy to get to start a new thing which is related to technology, right?
Okay.
So I'm quite a fan of car,
Okay.
but I'm not a handyman.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of, I think not only me, I think a lot of people is like that.
I am horrible with cars, horrible. So yeah.
And I have a lot of experience with my during previous car before I break down everything, right? And then so in 2018 when we started with my co-founder, we met again in KL after he moved back from Terengganu, and we just chit chat, catching up as old friends. And back then, just a week before, my sister-in-law, single mom, have a terrible car breakdown accident. So she needs to stay overnight, not somewhere middle nowhere,
Really?
right? Yeah, and then I need to go to fetch her, bring her 1 a.m. Right, and then my co-founder, and then also Nazmi have a similar problem with his car. So we thought that we saw that there's already a platform doing this, but why can't we reach the workshop, right? So that's how it started. That's how it triggered. And then we go doing some studies, asking workshops, and we have some people really good in workshop networks, and that's how it started, right? We wanted back then. I wanted to reach out people who can help me to get my car fixed, right? Because I don't want to think call somebody, right? So that's how usually people do.
Yeah. Okay. No, but if when you say that there was a personal experience, right? Typically, I guess, Nigesh, right? If your car breaks down at night or whatever, because you've got car insurance, and they always have a 1-800 or a number for you to call their own tow truck, so you can actually do that. So it shouldn't be as bad as what you were saying, unless it's not in the urban. Maybe if you're outside the urban areas, you don't have these services. So that's where the pain point is really. You're practically stuck where your car is broken down, I guess, right?
Correct. Because when people panic, right, sometimes they're clueless what to do. So when people clueless, we need to give them these solutions. There's always a solutions out there. So we 24 hours. So another solution is to call your brother or sister, right? Yeah. So we come in the middle on to make people life easier.
Okay.
So I got a question. When you say you come in the middle, so maybe explain to us what. Let's say I have a breakdown right now, right? So using POMEN or POMEN, is that how I pronounce it?
Yeah,
POMEN.
Bahasa Logat. POMEN. Yeah. So using that, how would it ease the person, right? How would it ease the person? Let's say I'm panicking right now. So how would it actually ease the person? All
right. So if you have a breakdowns right now, you just open up the app, click breakdown, one tap is for breakdowns automatically defined as urgent. So it will blast to all our workshop networks right now, which is now we have close to 700 registered merchants at the moment. Yeah.
And when you say 700, is this 700 all across Malaysia?
All across Malaysia. But now we are focusing on Klang Valley because we have every day we have workshops calling to join the platform, and we cannot stop them, right? So we just explain to them, you can onboard now, but the demand may be coming later, and they are okay with that because they want to get ready now. Even we have last week we have a group of workshops from Kota Kinabalu who want to join in, right? So we just explain the same thing. For us, to make them stay with us, we need to be able to create more demands for them. Right now we have enough supply. I think we need to create more demands for them. We need to be a master of demand creation for this kind of jobs.
Okay, so I'll come back to that demand creation thing, but I think Karam, something you mentioned just now, even if you contact the number that is on that sticker that you have, the insurance number, right? I think the key problem here is the network of workshops, because if you're in some corner somewhere, you call the number, by the time they get their network workshop to send somebody, it's going to be quite it'll take a while, right? So
no,
I think
it's not the workshop. Actually, it's just the tow. It's only a tow truck service, and then when you come, they will ask you where's the nearest you want to go, right? And if you're outside of the Klang Valley, which is the area you know, then you'll probably tell them tow it to the nearest authorized workshop lah. Then you're at the mercy of the network of your company, but you trust your company, right? Whereas Kunia, MCIS, so you think that they have. So that's the thing, trust, right? You trust that your insurance company, whichever workshop they partner with, they are not going to rip you off because your insurance company is there. And I think POMEN is trying to be that also, right? That trusted network, you know. And I think Syed Zul, you were saying that if you be a member, there's a difference. You can download the app, you can become a user. You can also be a member. So if you be a member, there's extra protection, peace of mind for you, right? Why is that so?
I'll say member and users, just the difference is how they can access the network, right? Right now, for example, we have we have partnership with, we just launched a campaign with Petronas. So the member can access the Petronas Auto Experts outlets all over Klang Valley. So that's one of the benefits that we are bringing them. And when we have this kind of partnership with a big corporation like Petronas now, it creates an instant trust with users, right? So there's no single layer of is this platform or is this a workshop can be trusted or not, right? So so when we do this kind of partnership, create an instant trust between consumers and the service provider.
Right.
But you know, sorry, Nikesh, before you've also done, Zul, you've also done very well since you launched in 2019. You've received funding from, it's a grant, right, from Cradle, I think the CIP Ignite, and that's $500,000 Malaysian ringgit, which is about $121,000 US. And you recently also managed to get into the second cohort of Scale Up Malaysia. That's not easy. So obviously they saw value in what you are doing and they decided to bring you in, and you managed to make it to the very end where they also gave you a $250,000 ringgit, right, funding, which is about $61,000 US. So on the funding side, you're sitting quite nicely also. And when you said your challenge now is to create demand, I guess to me it sounds like you just got to invest like crazy into hire influencer or get Karamjit, the rally driver, right, to promote your brand or your product. And it's just about spending money on digital marketing. Is it as simple as that?
It sounds simple as that, but it's not as simple as that, right? Because since COVID last year, a lot of workshops being affected, right? Some of them are closed down.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And in fact, it affects our business, right? Because we rely on them 100%.
Right.
So actually, we have last year we launched a new solutions for businesses, where we can serve all the businesses, logistics companies as fleet customers. So so now actually the funding that we got from Scale Up is to strengthen our position for business users, which is after we launched last year, we have Mitsubishi Motors Malaysia as our clients for that. Also, we signed a Petronas Group to manage all their vehicles all over Malaysia.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and then we also just signed up. We just last month we have a new contract with one of the car manufacturers in Kedah. So things are going that way now, but we are still have focus on B2C. So right now, what we are doing on B2C, we are leveraging on Petronas brands, Petronas network, and their marketing, and our most of our resources now are focusing on a business side to bring all business users into our platform. Because eventually, what our vision is to the platform is to connect B2B and B2C to aggregate to all the workshop network that we have, right? So if you have companies 100 200 lorries here, sometimes they travel across to send goods to Kelantan, for example. That's how we help them. That's the value that we bring between B2B and B2C.
Okay. Sorry, Nagesh, you were going to ask a question. Go ahead. Then I've got another question for Zul.
Sure, because there was a comment actually. So Saji has been very active today. So Saji, thanks for all that activity. But maybe Zul, you can answer this. Can I say it's essentially replacing AAM, which we are all familiar with from the past. But don't insurance companies already provide such services, sometimes even for free?
Okay, so insurance companies provide towing, and then after towing, right, it only cover for your insurance. But other than that, breakdowns or whatsoever, you still need to pay if it's not covered by insurance. Mostly it's for winds replacements, for breakdowns, for towing services. That's free with some kilometers limited. And then other than that, insurance company still rely on the panel workshops, and any is not covered, the customers need to pay. So insurance cater different demands. What we cater is different demands on day-to-day car maintenance services, tire replacements, right, and car breakdowns. So they cover that we are not covering, and we are covered on the masses and also the business. So we are actually complement each other.
Actually, you also mentioned that your service is 24/7, which means that let's say if at 5 a.m. in the morning, right, my car doesn't start at home. So if I'm not an AM member, AM also is gone now, right? There's no more AM. I would, if I'm a member of POMEN, then I can use the app, and it will identify the nearest available mechanic line. They will come and help me, get my car going, right? So they will do also to your house, right? Not just if you break down, correct? If you need a repair, or you need to do oil change, or if you need to do service also, you can request that through the app, correct?
Correct. So we have also on-site service because we have a freelance mechanic called POMEN Rider.
Okay.
Yeah, that one we are on pilot now, where we doing with Rural Ministry of Rural Development. They have a lot of automotive graduates for SKM diploma.
Oh, yes.
Hundreds of them. Some of them are not working. Yeah, so we bring the first batch of the pilot, around 28 people, as a POMEN Rider. And what's interesting on this POMEN Rider program, actually, we give them just a pure labor charge, all for them, and they can get, when you want to do a car service at home, this POMEN Rider can go to any Petronas Mercer stations, just pick up the lubricants without paying anything. Yeah, it's just use the card that we provide them, and they just go services, because we already are the back end with Petronas Mercer, where all the freelance mechanic can go, just get it, make use of your skills, get people for your skills, let us take care of the parts, right? They don't have to pay anything.
So how do you, because when I hear it's a young mechanic guy, I'm saying, hey, my car is like 23 years old, older than the mechanic who's coming, fresh graduate. I want somebody experienced. So will you allow me as the customer then to choose? You want a mechanic with more than 3 years experience, or you don't mind with less than 3 years?
Yeah, understood. Because we do it automatically with our backend algorithm. Let's say you have this kind of cars, right? We match with their skill set. Same goes to the workshop. If you drive BMW and the workshop capabilities only can serve Proton or Prodoa, the workshop won't get the job.
Okay.
right?
So I think, let me explain, because when you said that, I remember the difference between membership, Nigesh, and also a user. If you want to be a member, you also have to key in your car details. So that's where, like you said, they know, oh, this Karamjit has got a 23-year-old, Vira. So then they'll find somebody who knows how to deal with older cars. Maybe some mechanics say, I'm good with older cars. So that's what happened. They're not going to send a guy who works on French cars, right, to come and help me with a repair. So the details, extra details you put in about your car is how you then become a member. And by the way, membership is free, right?
Yes, it's free. We don't charge anything.
But it just allows them to match you with a more qualified mechanic, Nigesh. So that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at time, I think I want to call in back our other guest. Zul, thank you so much. But actually, I want to pick on something you say as Manu comes back in. Maybe let's get Manu back in. All right. So I noticed a very common theme actually between the both of y'all, which was really great to hear. It is that art of pivoting. Like, I've heard different challenges that both of y'all talked about, that every single one you found a different way how to handle it, or you found an opportunity with that. So I think that is a great theme that we got across from both of y'all. But let's do this. Maybe as a closure for today, let's answer this question. Actually, Prasanjit, let's have his question up again.
Oh, okay.
He actually asked this really good question at the show. I think it's good to sort of end off with this. So I have a question, and kindly share your view. Where do you see this world after 10 years from now in terms of technology and financial services? So maybe let's start with Manu.
Yeah, as they say, it's a fool's errand to predict anything beyond what you can envision. But I think in terms of technology, I can't say much about financial services, but in terms of technology, there's a good book that I read a couple of years ago called Machine, Platform and Crowd by Andrew McAfee, where he says that machine intelligence, like artificial intelligence and all, will play a much more pervasive role in many different sectors of our lives. Platform, so solutions that are built based on platforms, and then that will spawn other services as well. And the last one is the wisdom of the crowd, right? So this whole sharing platform and sharing economy will become probably more pervasive as well. But yeah, I think what we can do is probably get our kids to be prepared with the right skill sets that are needed in order to really take on whatever in the future. So that's how I see it.
Right. Okay. You're being safe as well, because you don't want to go too far into the future. And just in case for the viewers, if you don't see us on screen, we'll be back in a short while, but you can hear our voice.
Yeah.
Let's go to
Yes.
Let's go to Zul. Zul, what do you think? 10 years from now, technology and financial services. If financial services, maybe if you're not familiar with, it's okay. But technology, what do you think?
All right. So I always see the future is limitless. When you go back 10 years ago, what we have now is just like in the movie, right? So I think what we saw in the movie is going to be happening in the future. On the technology wise, I think people will get connected instantly. People get to know you before you know yourself, right? And then you can get if you have financial problem, I think the next morning you will know already is it you're eligible to that loan or not. With what we are doing right now, we have a lot of companies, technology companies doing right now. What they are building actually, they are creating a lot of data sets of people around the world. Right? All these data sets will be measured in 10 years, and it will be able to predict, I think, almost accurately based on your patterns. So it's kind of scary, but I think that's where the future we are heading now.
Thanks, Zul. I think I kind of agree with that. All these books we read about dystopian futures like 1984 and all that, it's our own imagination, and we are self-fulfilling our prophecy in a sense. So in a way, Zul is saying that. Karam, maybe I'll ask you this question.
Actually, no. When you keep reading about technology, it's interesting. Technology has this weird way of convincing you of its incredible promise, but the reality is always very different. Like my kids now one is 18 and one is 14 plus, and when they were 5 and 2 plus, I would have bet you money and given you odds also that they would be growing up in a world of touch screens and in a world of 3D. Okay, and I actually bought a like 22 and a half inch HP desktop, but which was touchscreen. Right? And I noticed that they never would they prefer to use the mouse, which is amazing to me. Or I thought by now you'll be able to voice command and activate your PC. Also never happened. But our kids are not living in a touchscreen world, and they're not living in a 3D world also. But having said that, if I think Prasenjit talking about 10 years from now, what data point I found very interesting is that about a quarter, I think Facebook has got about, not many, they've got about 5,000 headcount only. They're very stingy. They're not like having so many people. And a quarter of their people are involved in AR and VR work. Okay. And so that is significant amount of brain power, right? World-class brain power working on this one area. And I know somebody who's in R&D with Apple, and he said the same thing. And he told me that in 2019, he said in December, I know, because the Christmas break, he was down from wherever he was with Apple. He said, look, we are putting a lot of resources into working on AR and VR also. So you got these two, behemoths out there, focusing a lot of resources into AR, VR. I think you'll start to see a lot more of that. And I hope 10 years from now, you don't pull my beard and say, Karam, your AR, VR promise just went down the drain, just like your 3D premise that you would have bet money on. Only now, I'm not going to bet money with anyone, okay? But I think you'll probably see that kind of world. And especially with 5G coming, right? With 5G, with the seamless, with the very low flutter, jitter in the network, you're going to be able to do a lot more of virtual reality, augmented reality. So maybe we will see VR and AR a lot more in the world 10 years. But financial services, look, that is a convenience factor, right? And it's on your phone. So if any entrepreneur out there can make it easy and seamless to use, people will use it. And you just look to not China, look to Indonesia. Indonesia now, financial services in terms of digital wallet or e-wallet is going very well because people see that it's convenient, it makes their life easier, and it's not a cost burden to them because everybody already has the device you need, which is a smartphone. So look for the e-wallets and personal services, personal banking services to really zoom ahead over the next 10 years, especially in developing countries. In developed countries, it's already there.
Right. And I think Karam, when you said about that whole touchscreen thing for your 2-year-old, 3-year-old back then, who are now 18-year-old, and you bet money on that. Maybe it didn't happen then. But I would say right now, like I have a young boy, and especially those being born right now, we're calling them digital natives.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right, we're calling them digital natives, and there's truth to that whole thing. Even though when probably 18 years back that didn't happen, but if we look at it right now, no thought is required. Technology is advanced in a manner where a young kid being born, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old already knows, and I'm not kidding, my 3-year-old son already knows how to use a handphone fully.
Oh,
I did not teach him. I have a rule of not giving him a handphone, but he knows how to use it. So I think one is the next generation coming up are already going to be ready for this. And Karam, I will agree with you. You're on the ball with the whole VR and AR thing. Hardware is already there. Now the challenge is connectivity. Challenge is how are we going to get these data packets across to everybody, and probably that's going to shift how we view the world as well. And especially right now, since we are all living from home because of the pandemic, it's going to become even more important for people to experience the world through VR and also AR.
Absolutely.
Right.
So let's see. I think this time you don't have to wait 10 years. Probably in 5 years, with the kind of investments being made by some of the top companies, you're going to see it very fast.
Yep.
So I'm even more aggressive. 5 years, Prasenjit, not 10 years.
5 years, huh? Let's see. All right. So, guys, we are already at 7. So I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us here at Tech Talk Friday, which is brought to you by Nicole, a contextual learning app. But most importantly, I want to thank Manu Menon, co-founder, CEO of Youthopia. Thank you so much for joining us. And also Zul, co-founder and CEO of POMEN. Go check out the app, POMEN. All right.
Yep,
Thank
yep.
you both for
Thanks,
joining
Download
us.
the app.
Thank you guys for inviting us.
No
All right.
problem.
Thanks, Karam.
And of course,
No problem.
thank you to Karam for always being entertaining. And thank you to our Chipsmo host who will come in hopefully sometimes, Roshan. And signing out from me, everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget, we still have the last 5 days of our funnel round still going around. The links have been shared. We'll catch you real soon, everybody. Take care. See you next Friday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yep.
Bye.